Chanel.
Uncle Chanel.
You tell me what Uncle Chanel means. Uncle Chanel is life, strength, and health.
Life strength. Uncle Chanel.
Some would say prosperity. But the last part,
Strength and health.
sometimes it's a folded towel, which makes the ass. You know, life, strength, and health. Ojai, strength. There's also Ra's name, Ra's other name, where if you read the book of knowing the creations of Ra, Ra says, I am life, strength, and health.
Which one's right?
Uncle Chanel.
The whole thing is his other name?
Correct. So like I say, Ra refers to himself as the Prince, Uncle Chanel. You see. So Ra Nephramen has a point, or Shechem in the Middle Netter, the Middle Netter, volume 1 through 7, when he acknowledges Ra as the life force. And one of the things that throws us off is the fact that we are often out of touch with our life force, or our life force is unbalanced. So life force energy is what we need to cultivate the most. So it's important that we continue to build our life force. One of the ways is the proper amount of rest, meditation, breathing exercises. Also in the Indian tradition, they're known as pranayama. Prana, which is breath, yama, control. So it's breath control. So whenever you are dealing with connecting with your higher self, or the highest part of yourself, that is dealing with an alignment. And when you are aligned, then the life force energy within you will flow much easier. But one of the reasons why the life force energy may not flow within us the way it should is because of internal blockages. And some of these blockages manifest not just through lifestyle, but also because of traumas in which we may have experienced as we were coming up throughout our lives. Now, when you look in the West African tradition of the Yoruba, for instance, the Yoruba talk about the Ori, or Ori Ade, which is your head. This is your physical head, Ori Ade. Ori also translates into head, but we call the outer head Ori Ade. And then you have Ori Indu, right? This is your inner head. And notice how I'm pointing here as the pathway to your inner head, behind the belly button, in the stomach area.
Root chakra, what's above the root chakra?
Yeah, just solar plexus. Okay. They don't exactly evenly match up with the chakra system, but I'm not saying that there's no connection at all. It's just that African and Indian philosophy, they have a different way of dealing with energy. You know? And there's universal principles behind it. Like, for instance, one thing that's universal is the power center being in the head, the heart, and the abdomen. That's kind of universal. You find that in Eastern Asian traditions as well. So you're dealing with Taoist medicines, or you're dealing with Mantai Chia. These are also very important parts. So when you get into Reiki, they talk about the three dantians. Somebody is calling you. I think that's kind of disrespectful that they see that he's recording the video and they go call it. That's some of the people on your Instagram doing that. So anyway.
Yeah, that's right. They call me back, brother, because teachers teach. I'll talk to you later.
So the thing about it is that whenever you're dealing with alignment, there's certain things in which you do to get the energy to flow. So for instance, Mata Chia, he has the microcosmic orbit. And one of the ways that you can activate this orbit is really easy. Right? You see the energy circulating, starting up at the top of the head, and you breathe it, it's going down, and then you see the energy circulating. Actually, circulating up, and then down the back, and then up again. So kind of like breathing up, breathing down, breathing up, breathing down. See the energy going up, energy going down. Or another easy way you can do that is you're seeing the energy, you're breathing energy up like a triangle, a pyramid coming up as you're breathing, and then you breathe the energy down. See? So you're making the energy come up, you're inviting energy from the earth to come up, and you're also inviting energy from heaven to come down. So, you understand?
Sure.
Try to do this every day, and then you'll see your life force energy building up.
Okay.
Indeed. So one of the things is believed that the mind has a tendency to wander. So you're kind of giving the mind something to do. You understand? Okay. So when you give the mind something to do, and then you focus on your breathing, right? You can get into trance. And then the goals and objectives that you want to see, you focus on those when you get deeper into trance. But you're also building up your life force when you're doing the breathing exercises. One of the ways you can also do it is that you're breathing into the nose, and then you make your stomach come out like a pot belly. Now, it's becoming very popular to chant Om. A-U-M. It's Om. It's not just Om. It's Om. See, so it's A-U-M. You're going to pronounce that. You chant Om 108 times in the morning, every day. And you'll feel a buildup in your life force. It also will raise your awareness, and you will see increases in your memory and your ability to recall, because it's attuning you and connecting you to the universe. Now, eventually, there's something that I want to share with brothers that's very important, because it's something that brothers need to learn how to cultivate, but society teaches us to squander it all the time. We'll talk about that some other time, but that's also one of the key factors to obtaining and keeping your life force. So, brothers, I suggest it's good for you to continue to have an intake of zinc and lecithin type products. You can actually get lecithin in the form of a supplement.
I take 2 a day.
Good. Another thing you can do, and I'm speaking to the brothers, we'll get to the ladies eventually, but yeah, men need zinc. You need zinc to revitalize that cerebral spinal fluid that you have gotten rid of.
Females need zinc too now.
Well, that's something that I think I know more about the men, but I can imagine women would need it as well. But I speak to the men because I know what happens to us guys, because guys tend to be weakened by squandering it. You know what I mean? All the time. Not even with the help of a partner. Okay? So I kind of tell, brothers to try to have some discipline in that area, because I think the sisters would appreciate it. You feel me? So that's the thing. Brothers, learn how to cultivate that energy.
I should.
You ain't got to do what Pee Wee Herman did and got him locked up. You ain't got to keep doing that. All right? So you're going to cultivate that energy. Okay? because sexual energy is definitely important, but it's to be cultivated, not just do whatever they tell us to do with it. But it's a life force energy that you want to cultivate. So get your minerals, get your supplements. If you're gonna drink distilled water, put some minerals in it. Otherwise, you keep drinking it too much, it will literally suck all the minerals out of your bones. Okay, so you want to put some minerals in that distilled water. Yeah, I mean,
Like minerals in a little drop or something.
yeah, because it's dead, it's distilled, it's dead water. It's not something you just want to keep putting in your body.
Yeah, somebody said distilled water, baking soda, and I forgot the other ingredient. I think apple cider vinegar or something. Supposed to cleanse your body out of metals and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And notice I said mix it with the baking soda. It also alkalinizes your body as well. So it's good to keep that balance, keep your pH balance on point.
Snitchgram scared of you tonight. They cut it off like 4 times already.
Oh well.
Yeah, keep turning it back on.
So that's the thing. You know, you want to continue to cultivate your life force. In the Yoruba tradition, you have your Ori, right? Oriade. The heart center is called Okan. And you have Ori Inu. Okay? You connect with that, then it connects you with what is called Ipanri, which is your higher self, or that is the self that dwells in heaven, Ipanri. So when you have connected that aspect of yourself and unified these parts of you, you have a connection to heaven. You have a connection to the Akashic records. You know, so in the Ifa teachings, it's talking about a connection to Ella, which is the light. You see, the consciousness. When you breathe, when you sit still, and when you're at a state of peace, this is when you get the downloads, because that means you have access to the Akashic records, the Akashic field. But if you got noise around you all the time and all this inner chatter, it's hard for you to make the connection. You see what I mean?
You say primary part of the same kind of Christian heaven.
Yeah, the Christians mean the same thing. It's just that they got caught up with religious symbolism and taking it literal. That's all. Originally, that stuff, all that stuff in Christianity, it comes from the same place. It's just people got away from the science and got into the beliefs. All that, yeah, Christianity, all those mysteries come from the ancient world. You know, the problem is that they got rid of the concept of gnosis and went into the concept of pistis. You know, they wanted to go towards grace and not knowledge. Gnostic Christianity, there's also Gnosticism in Christianity that the Catholic Church has been trying to get rid of. But gnosis means knowledge. They went along with the idea of like, no, we don't want to deal with gnosis. We want to deal with pistis. Therefore, you can just be saved through grace. Even though you're told that faith without works is dead. In the very Bible, in which people have claimed to be saved by grace, solely by grace. You know, but we're talking about grace. And I'm not even saying that there's no such thing as that. But what I am saying is that knowledge and gaining knowledge to achieve higher levels of wisdom and realization was at one point in time part of those teachings. And according to one story, Mary Magdalene eventually had taken on those teachings, and that she was supposed to have got the true revelation of Christ, and somehow that information found its way into France, in the same area where they have all these churches of the Black Madonna there. You got Notre Dame, that means my lady, you know, so basically Paris, remember Paris means Par Isis, because before those churches were churches, they were temples of Isis, because they were on that time, There was a time when the priesthood of Isis and the mysteries of Isis had found its way into Europe, you know, in Spain and in Italy and in France. So, Ralph Ellis talks about Jesus being a pharaoh. So whether you want to take the story literal or not, that's up to you. I'm just pointing to you various references in which we can deal with about the symbolism of these traditions. Jesus, Yeshua, comes from the word meaning Yahweh saves, but then you have Isa, which means physician. The Muslims still call Jesus Isa as a prophet. Isa is the physician, and his followers are called the Essenes. Understand? Sure. Okay. All right. So, the bride and the groom that they talk about in the Bible, in the book of Revelation, represent the sacred masculine and feminine energy. In the church, the way it's built with the steeple in the rest of the building represents the phallus and the womb, because it's to come together of masculine and feminine energy, in which activates the Holy Spirit. So therefore, you see where the sun shines through the shaft of some of these churches, or light up the inner sanctuary of the church, because it's also part of the solar mysteries. So the house of the Lord being illuminated by the Holy Spirit. But then you go back to Kemet, you see that same thing going on. You see like the Ra, or the sun, illuminating the inner temples. Like for instance, one of them was Abu Simbel. And you see there's also a building where the sun literally will shine on the hieroglyphics and pictograms and bring them to life, like it was a theater, a cartoon. And as the light moves up the shaft, so does the movement of the pictograms. Yes, the idea. And the sun helped out with that.
The shadows and stuff.
The little pictograms on the wall, the way the sun would beam up off the walls of the shaft. And it literally was a cartoon, like a cartoon in stone. They were pretty badass in Kent. So the building of the cathedrals that you find in Europe also match some of the dimensions of the Great Pyramid, because they had some of their builders and architects take on some of that knowledge that came out of Kemet. Napoleon and all those guys, they went down in Egypt for a reason and brought all those soldiers and artisans and everything else to study Egypt so they could take that knowledge back to Europe, because they knew where it was coming from. Now, as far as what the Egyptians or the Cometians looked like, well, shoot, I think it was Brother Asa Hilliard that was showing how they had the mummy, Thutmose III, and how his nose, his original nose, is gone. I'm not talking about the statue. I'm talking about the actual mummy. So his statue, or his the pictograms show him having a black nose or an African nose.